Governor Abubakar Bello, Governor of Niger State, the Honorable Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, all the First Ladies from the different states of Nigeria who are members of Nigerian Governors' Wives Against Gender-Based Violence, members of the Diplomatic Corps, all our resource persons and guest speakers, delegates from various states. At this point, I'd like to request to stand on the existing protocols. But before I proceed, I would like to please ask all my colleagues, my sisters, First Ladies from the states, who are members of this great organization that we put together, to please stand up so that people can see you. I know it's hard to see people with the face mask on, but please stand up. Thank you, Your Excellencies. In recent times, there has been an astronomical increase in cases of sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria. The COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdowns that ensued exacerbated an already problematic situation as rates of violations increased exponentially. The continued rise in gender-based violence cases has made it imperative to scale up multidimensional approaches and strategies in combating all forms of gender-based violence. Several reasons account for the pervasive nature of gender-based violence in Nigeria, and they include, but not exclusive to this list, underlying cultural norms, attitudes, and beliefs that normalize physical, sexual, psychological, and economic violence. A thriving culture of impunity anchored on the shaming and intimidation of survivors and lack of access to justice. The lack of a unified legal framework and court system to deal with gender-based violence, non-existent or poorly equipped facilities to respond to GBV cases, including the lack of sexual assault referral centers and shelters to care for survivors, and also economic disparities that increase vulnerability of women and children. Nigerian Governors' Wives Against Gender-Based Violence is a group of 25 governors' wives from all zones of the country, working together to mitigate all forms of gender-based violence. Since we began to work together on GBV issues in June 2020, we have achieved the following: advocacy with the Nigerian Governors Forum, our husbands, to support calls for the declaration of a state of emergency against sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria. On the 10th of June, the Nigerian Governors Forum declared a state of emergency against GBV. As a result of this declaration, all state governors are now focused on urgent actions in their states to address GBV. This includes ensuring that relevant legislation is passed and that there is implementation of existing laws and policies. We have also developed an action plan as State First Ladies, which we are presenting to the public today, and it is in the compendium you have on your tables. Each First Lady is adapting this action plan to suit her own context and environment. The action plan covers strategies such as access to justice, support for survivors, education and awareness, engaging communities, peer learning, and partnerships with various stakeholders. We have also scaled up advocacy efforts for the immediate domestication of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015 and the Child Rights Act. I'm pleased to inform you, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that since June 2020, when the state of emergency was declared, 6 additional states had domesticated the VAP Act: Delta, Bauchi, Akwa Ibom, Kwara, Abia, and Niger states. There are several other states where the legislation is at advanced stages, and we hope to have a few more passed before the end of 2020. So if your state has not passed the VAP Act and you did not hear your name, please have a quiet word with your First Lady or your governor. We have also, as governors' wives, been involved in state GBV implementing and coordinating mechanisms. Without these coordinating mechanisms in place, it is going to be extremely difficult to implement the laws. We have also provided support for the establishment of sexual assault referral centers, as well as shelters for women and their children. We have provided economic empowerment opportunities for women in grassroots communities to reduce their vulnerability. And we have ensured ongoing advocacy for girl-child education and employment. As wives of governors, we know we are capable of achieving a lot of progress in our respective states. We are superstars in our own states. However, through working in solidarity, as a collective, our platforms and voices can be leveraged into something more powerful to achieve meaningful change. This policy dialogue has been organized to provide a platform for a range of stakeholders to reflect on subnational interventions, particularly as we commemorate the global 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The theme for 2020 is Orange the World, Fund, Respond, Prevent, and Collect. We need to ensure adequate funding of all interventions, respond effectively to the needs of survivors, intensify strategies for prevention of GBV, and collect relevant data for analysis and planning. We all need to leverage whatever platforms and competencies we have to make this happen. We therefore hope that this policy dialogue will enable us provide an opportunity for state governors to discuss what has happened in their states since the declaration of a state of emergency in June 2020. And through the compendium we have put together and the exhibition we have outside, we also want to highlight ways in which governors' wives are supporting the fight against GBV. We also want to listen to GBV survivors and service providers as they discuss care and protection and access to justice. In order to tackle a problem as complex as gender-based violence, we require the active engagement of all elements of society. As mothers, wives, and leaders in our own right, we are ready and willing to play our part. We thank all our speakers and resource persons for being willing to share their experiences and knowledge with us. We are grateful to Her Excellency, Dr. Aisha Buhari, First Lady of Nigeria, for being a dependable ally in the quest for a better Nigeria for all men and women. We acknowledge the hard work of Dame Pauline Tallen, Minister for Women Affairs, for making gender-based violence advocacy a priority. And we also acknowledge the efforts of her sister, the Honorable Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, for ensuring that gender remains an integral part of the mandate of that ministry. We thank our beloved husbands at the Nigeria Governors Forum for their support and encouragement. We are grateful to the Nigerian Governors Forum, the Ford Foundation, and the United Nations EU Spotlight Initiative for making this meeting possible. Together, we can tackle the menace of GBV and make our communities safer for women and girls. Thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy your time with us. So I would now like to invite Her Excellency Dame Pauline Tallen to please give her remarks.
Thank you very much, my dear champion, our superstar. Please, can you give her a big round of applause? We must celebrate ourselves and what God is using my big brother, the chairman of the Governors Forum, Dr. John Fahmy, chairman of Governors Forum, and a true he for she, a champion of the First Order. He's being flanked by his two great champions too. I celebrate you all. I celebrate the governor of Niger State, my dear brother, Governor Abubakar Bello. I celebrate the governor of Ondo State, and once again congratulate you on your great success at the polls recently. Governor Akereledu, you are most welcome, and thanks for all the good work you are doing. Today, we are here with my dear sister, the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. My earlier plan was to spend the whole day with you here, because this is a day we had agreed and planned to address issues of gender-based violence to the core. Unfortunately, you are aware of the national tragedy that has affected one of the states. The chairman of the Governors Forum just returned, and Mr. President has mandated me and the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs to be on our way to Maiduguri. But because of the importance of this gathering, we had to make our time to be here, and shortly after my address, you will permit us to leave, but know that my heart, my mind, the First Lady, although she is not here, her heart, her mind is all with you. She sends her greetings, she sends her solidarity and her words of encouragement, and that I should thank all of you and celebrate all of you for the great work you are doing in the various states under the able leadership of my dear sister, DEC Irelu Fahmy, chairperson of the Governor's Wives Forum. Please, can you give her a big round of applause? I celebrate all our first ladies from the various states that have been up and doing. You've put gender-based violence as a top priority in your states, because since the outbreak of COVID-19, the situation has gone out of hand. I ran and cried to a very, very able chairman of the Governors Forum. Governor Fahmy instantly accepted and organized a Zoom meeting where I was given an opportunity to address all the 36 state governors on the 10th of June. And at the end of that Zoom meeting, all the governors decided and declared state of emergency in all the 36 states. It is the after effect of this declaration that we are again gathered here under the able leadership of wives of governors concerned on gender-based violence, chaired by the chairperson of the Governor's Wives Forum, BC Irelu Fahmy. I sincerely appreciate you, and I know that you've made the work of my ministry and the commissioners at the state much easier. Without you, without the full support of the governors, we can do nothing. Your Excellency, Chair of Governors Forum, and all the governors that are not with us here physically, those that are with us on Zoom, I celebrate all our governors. Please, commissioners, wives of governors, help me put your hands together for our able governors, husbands, fathers, and champions. I'm highly delighted to be part of today's epoch-making event of the gender-based violence policy dialogue with excellencies, governors, and their spouses. Your Excellencies, this event coincides with the commemoration of the 2020 16 Days activism on ending violence against women and girls with the team Orange the Wall, Fund, Respond, Prevent, and Collect. The team should be seen as a collective call to redefine our roles in ending gender-based violence in Nigeria. Let me again use this opportunity to thank Your Excellencies for the proactiveness in declaring a state of emergency in your respective states in the wake of the epidemic of gender-based violence that engulfed our country, especially during the COVID-19. We are now facing a pandemic within a pandemic. Looking at where we were before COVID-19 and our desire to create a society free of violence, I want to commend Your Excellencies and your spouses for the various projects and programs aimed at creating an enabling environment for women and girls to contribute maximally to national growth. No doubt our experiences have shown that any meaningful intervention in addressing the national polity at this time must take into account a gender perspective, as this becomes imperative for benchmarking the developmental strides of our dear country. I want to thank Your Excellencies for making the situation of the Nigerian women and children through laws, policies, and institutional mechanisms that seek to promote women's human rights, which you all remain our driving force at the state level in this struggle. But as Oliver Twist, our concern is funding and harmonization of existing laws to incorporate emerging issues as they reflect on the different states. I would like to congratulate the Governors Forum for organizing this event and specifically identifying with the partnership established with all our First Ladies with the Ministry through this strong initiative on ending gender-based violence in our dear country. I further believe that your presence here is informed by our collective commitment to strengthen partnership and deepen understanding on ending gender-based violence. It is clear that beside every successful man, every successful governor, to be specific, is a very good wife and a supportive wife. I therefore dare to say I appreciate all of you, our First Ladies, for being very supportive and standing side by side with your husbands to make a difference. The First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is also in the forefront of the crusade to end gender-based violence alongside the spouses of Your Excellencies. I'm really happy to mention here that one of the outcomes of the coalition is the dialogue we are having here today. You are our champions and our superstars. From the National Assembly, the story is not different, as they have shown commitment in sanitizing our academic institutions through the enactment of various laws, protecting our students and ensuring that our daughters are safe in school. It is important to point out here, Your Excellencies, that at the state levels, we have seen renewed commitment in the promotion and protection of the rights and welfare of Nigerian women and children. This has placed Nigeria on the global map in harvesting best practices around such issues as was spotlighted at the United Nations General Assembly in September 2020. Some of these interventions, among so many, are worthy of mention here. The directives by Mr. President to inaugurate an interministerial gender-based violence management committee to profile and synchronize approach to address all forms of violence against women and children in the country, chaired by the Attorney General and Minister for Justice and co-chaired by my humble self. This was put in place on the 23rd of July 2020, and the committee is up and running. Directives to the Inspector General of Police by Mr. President to deal with all perpetrators and immediately address all such related cases in furtherance of the declaration of zero tolerance to rape and other gender-based violence in the country. Mr. President's recommendation in solidarity to say no to violence against women and children during the EU and UN Town Hall dialogue on gender-based violence in Nigeria on Tuesday, 25th August 2020. At this point, I want to specially acknowledge the support and contribution of UN and EU, and they are here represented in full force. We have Comfort Lamti and the EU ambassador's representative. We appreciate you. We thank you. Your Excellencies, breaking the silence on violence against women and girls has created a momentum and encouraged more families to come forward to report cases of rape and other forms of violence or abuse. Nigerian communities and leaders, through your able initiative at the various states, are coming to terms with the scale of the problems and promising support and solutions. These are signs of hope. As the national gender machinery, the ministry can only succeed with your full support, and that we are seeing. And many of others who are out on the field. We appreciate all our civil society organizations, our NGOs, that I can see so many represented here in this hall. We appreciate all of you for your support and endless effort towards ending gender-based violence. Once again, I sincerely thank you for all your support and commitment to seeing to the end of gender-based violence in Nigeria. Please stay safe and blessed. Wishing you all a very peaceful and successful dialogue, and praying that we end the year more peaceful and happy. Stay safe from COVID-19, and our prayer is that may Nigeria be peaceful. May we not see further calamities that we've just experienced. Wishing you a successful deliberation at this dialogue, and happy Christmas in advance. I thank you.
A warmer round of applause for Her Excellency, the First Lady of Nigeria, very ably, warmly brought into the room by Her Excellency, Dame Pauline Tallinn. Thank you so very much for those words of advice and the fact that we all can make the change we need to see happen. Excellent. We will continue to recognize our special guests as they come into the room, and permit me, therefore, to formally welcome His Excellency, the Governor of Ondo State, Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, SAN. Welcome, Your Excellency. And our Honorable Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Saidia Umar Farooq. Thank you very much for joining us, Honorable Minister. Where would we be without solidarity? I can see the excellencies catching a very quick historical documentation of this moment. It is not a moment of history, it's a moment of history. These are sisters rewriting the story of change and transformation for this country. We can bring an end to gender-based violence. It can be done. A round of applause for our big sisters. I need to ask the camera crew now to reassume status quo ante, because otherwise we would not be able to continue the event. Okay. A lot of positive excitement. Let me say that this photo is very meaningful because these are achievers. These are not just achievers, they are women achievers. And they are here because they have been able to get the kind of opportunity they deserve. If you look at the 25 First Ladies who are part of the Ungwa GBV, you will see how very accomplished they are. And I hope as you're looking at all of them, you are rethinking and reimagining how you can guarantee access to quality education for our daughters and our sons. Okay, I think I have to take back control of the room. Camera crew, thank you very much. Excellent job done. now we must continue this dialogue because I have a very important brother to invite. This is the new definition of gender balance. So because they took the photos of my big sisters, they also had to go to my big brother's table to balance the equation. I accept. I surrender. No wahala. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, now we must commence the goodwill messages as we continue to make our protocol announcements. And I continue to rely on our team to inform me as the protocol changes. I thought I saw His Excellency, the Governor of Kogi State, but with the mask era, you never know for sure. Excellent, confirmed. I wanted to be sure, so the protocol has not informed me yet, but he's unmissable in any room. Well, do your job. Can I have it on paper? Thank you. Just write it here. Write it and give me, because I can't even read your handwriting.
Okay, right.
Governor Lalong.
Yes. Chairman, Northern Governors.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we especially welcome the Excellencies, the Governor of Kogi State, Governor Yahya Bello, is in the house. Welcome, Your Excellency. And His Excellency, the Governor of Plateau State, the Right Honorable Simon Lalong, is also in the room. Welcome, Your Excellency, sir. Your Excellency, Governor Fayemi, sir, my sister's table is still ahead of yours. I hope more brothers join you to continue the solidarity. I see at least one more seat, so there's more space at that table to have the Excellencies join their own brother, because my sister is really very well surrounded. But we thank the brothers who are in the room already. And so, we must proceed. And now, to the goodwill messages. It's always an honor to meet this distinguished citizen of the world at events such as these. He makes it a point of duty to show his friendship to Nigeria and his solidarity with Nigerians. He's indeed a friend of Nigeria. He's the ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS for the European Union, an excellent gentleman and diplomat par excellence. Please welcome His Excellency, Ambassador Ketil Carlson, for his words of remark. Welcome.
I am afraid you might be disappointed because Ketil is in Europe for the time being, and therefore I'm here to represent him. You'll allow me, because otherwise the specs steam up and I can't see. I'm the chargé d'affaires. My name is Alexandre Borges, and I'm here to represent the European Union. I'll have to stand on existing protocol, I guess, because there's been some changes here, so you'll bear with me on this. But I'd like to salute, obviously, the minister and the governors. Couldn't leave that out. As it's been said, a lot of what I was going to point out, which is going to be brief, has already been mentioned before. But it's true that we note that this year more than ever, there's been an enormous increase in the incidence of domestic violence, gender-based violence. And this is something that has worried us a great deal, the European Union. And it has more than ever brought to the fore the emphasis on gender as we program the next cycle of cooperation with our partners outside the European Union for the years to come, so which we're actually doing at this time. We also worry that this crisis, the COVID crisis, should not be an excuse for us to backtrack on what has been achieved so far on gender, on issues to do with gender-based violence and gender in general. At the beginning of the 16 days of the campaign that we are in now, the European Union has presented an ambitious action plan to promote gender equality and women empowerment in external relations. So this is from Brussels, and it's something that we certainly intend to stick to. And in concrete terms, we take a joint approach to our member states. We will be working with our member states, what we call Team Europe, and we'll partner with Nigeria and other external allies to accelerate the progress towards making this an issue that is deserving of commitments in international fora. The effects of the pandemic has increased the need for global partnership, as we know. A good example of this, and the Minister very kindly referred to, is it's the UN Spotlight Initiative with the EU. The Spotlight Initiative is what we call a flagship initiative, which combines the determination ours, the European Union, the United Nations, with that of the Nigerian authorities, which we have seen a lot of, in working together with civil society. So it's a sort of faceted type of approach to this problem, which is the only way we're going to get anywhere if we are to improve this situation. Seeing the governors, I can't leave but leave out the fact that the Governors Forum has shown a great deal of commitment to this cause by declaring this state of emergency on gender-based violence on the 10th of June, which is something that has been much appreciated, I know. And in Brussels, it had a great deal of repercussion, because this is at a different level, and if you have all the governors, it means the penetration is much wider, and that is very good. And of course, through the Wives Forum, this can be something that can be put into practice at much more effectively. So, we have had meetings following the declaration of the state of emergency. There have been several meetings between the Forum and the European Union and the United Nations, and we hope good things to come of this, which is something we'll look forward in the future. It's probably a bit premature to be mentioning any at this stage, and there's no time for it anyway, but it's something that we are following quite closely. The event today shows leadership on the part of the Nigerian governors' wives, and I think that given the importance of this issue, this is something that we need all the leadership we can gather. And I think that, I'm always afraid we have to be very correct, very politically correct, but I think I will not be considered guilty of being politically incorrect if I say that in some ways ladies in such positions have particular, let's say, powers to convince and get things delivered that maybe others cannot. We, as I said, we need all the leadership we can do, and I just wish finally to reassert in front of you that we, the European Union, and what we do in terms of cooperation, we like to reiterate our commitment to this cause. Ambassador Carlson has been very, very eloquent in this issue, and the town hall meeting was mentioned. We're very proud of the fact that we had the very highest level represented, and it's something that he mentions constantly, and it's something that I know that had repercussion. I'll leave you with this, and I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this is very fruitful, and hope to see you on another occasion. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Je vous remercie, c'est une charge d'affaires pour votre solidarité. Je vous remercie. We thank you very much to Charge d'Affaires and our kind regards to His Excellency, Ambassador Ketil Carlson. I have the honor to invite a big sister who personalizes by partisanship. Just like Erelu Bisifayemi, her party is the Women's Party. We know we're not registered yet, so don't ask where it is, but it exists. This senator is the sponsor of the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. Please welcome the distinguished Senator Abiodun Olujimi. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you for joining us. And next, I would like to invite another kind sister who is wearing multiple hats today. From Liberia to Geneva, working for women, she has helped develop, amongst other critical global programs, one supporting and preventing and addressing sexual and gender-based violence in refugee settings. She is today our beloved sister who is in charge of UN Women for Nigeria, but she's also going to be speaking for the United Nations Resident Coordinator, Dr. Edward Cullen. Please welcome this absolutely brilliant and resourceful sister, Dr. Comfort Lamte of the UN Women. Welcome, my sis.
Good morning. Her Excellency, the First Lady of Nigeria, who was represented here by the Honorable Minister of Women's Affairs, His Excellency, the Chair of the Governors Forum, and Governor of Ekiti State, Governor John Kayode Fayemi, and all the Excellency, the governors present here today, Her Excellency, the First Lady of Ekiti State, Erelu Bisifayemi, and all the distinguished Excellencies, First Ladies present here today. The EU Ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, ably represented by Mr. Alexander Gomez, other members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. And before I read my statement, let me also convey the best wishes of Mr. Edward Cullen, the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator. Just like the Honorable Minister mentioned, she's off to Maiduguri. Mr. Cullen is in Maiduguri as we speak, and he regrets not being present here, but sends his best wishes and looks forward to the outcome of this important meeting today, and also provides assurance of the UN's commitment and support to advancing the cause of women's rights and ending gender-based violence. So let me start by applauding the efforts of the Nigerian Governors' Wives Forum under the able leadership of Erelu Bisifayemi in driving gender-based violence prevention and response in all of your respective states. The success of your collective efforts in partnership with the Honorable Minister of Women's Affairs, which facilitated the declaration of a state of emergency by the Governors Forum in June 2020, is indeed commendable. And this unprecedented declaration provides clear demonstration of the important political feats which women leaders can achieve when they come together to boldly advocate for women's rights and gender equality. I believe we can draw pertinent lessons from this strategy to tackle other persisting, quote-unquote, states of emergencies on women's rights in Nigeria, most notably the low representation of women in elected political office, which currently stands as the lowest in Africa. So this indeed is a call to action. It is also important that going forward, alliance building continues to serve as a core part of the strategy of the Nigerian Governors' Wives Forum to address the state of emergency on gender-based violence. In this regard, it's important to foster synergies with the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative, which provides an important avenue for expanding this alliance building. Through the 6 pillars of intervention of the Spotlight Initiative, it is partnering with women's civil society organizations, traditional leaders, federal and state ministries of women's affairs, youth-led organizations and networks, including the Nigerian chapter of the African Women Leaders Network. The Nigerian Governors' Wives Forum can leverage on these civil society networks and partners to amplify the important work being done in your respective states. The private sector is also an important partner to embrace in efforts to end gender-based violence, harnessing, in this case, opportunities for partnership in technology and telecommunications to better prevent and respond to gender-based violence. Lastly, I would like to put focus on the message of prevention in this year's 16 Days of Activism theme, which, as we all know, is Orange the World, Fund, Respond, Prevent, and Collect. In this case, prevention means that even as we prioritize resources to support survivors through building shelters and ensuring robust data collection, we must also invest in ensuring access to justice for victims in order to end the culture of impunity that sustains the pervasiveness of gender-based violence in our societies. Too many perpetrators are getting away with murder. Prevention also calls for supporting efforts to address the persistent gender inequalities in society, which leave many women vulnerable to gender-based violence crimes in the first place. Therefore, investing in girls' education, in economic and political empowerment of women, and in women's reproductive health and rights are all integral to addressing the root causes of this problem. I commend the First Ladies Forum for taking this holistic view and assure you of the UN's unwavering support going forward. Thank you.
Many thanks indeed, my sister Comfort Lamptey. Another warm round of applause for her. Thank you so very much. Well delivered. Commitment is important, alliance building, and we must tackle impunity. I again salute the 25 First Ladies who have come together under this all-important umbrella. I'm scanning the room to see if my sister Funke Barua of Ford Foundation is here. Excellent, excellent. She comes with a very great long memory of the women's movement. She's presently the chair of a board of directors of the Nigerian Women's Trust Fund, and of course, a senior program team lead at the Ford Foundation. Please welcome my sister and co-traveler, Olufunke Barua, to share a few words of remarks. And commitment, and further commitment from Ford to do a whole lot more. And please, my sister Funke, be sure to talk about care. Excellent. Welcome.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to stand on existing protocols. Good morning, Erin. Amina, you are setting me up. You should also make a commitment from Makoto. In spite of progress made in West Africa and Nigeria over the last 3 decades, in recognizing women's rights through legislation, through policies, and ratification of international and regional instruments, women and girls continue to face high rates of gender-based violence and to live precarious lives. This is because we have deep-rooted patriarchy and a pervasiveness of impunity that undergird the social and cultural norms that create the conditions for such violence in our country. These 16 days, however, provide an opportunity to address this issue. Because violence against women and girls is not only widespread, but also a major impediment to the agency of women and girls, to the development and participation of women and girls within households and within the larger society throughout West Africa and Nigeria in particular. If we come down to Nigeria, violence is almost accepted as a norm and as a tool for the subordination of women and for the subjugation of girls. But it also impacts on the rights, dignity, and well-being of women and girls. Entrenched social norms and practices that are embedded within religion and culture continue to ensure that men's dominance over women and girls in all aspects of society is sustained. Ford Foundation Office for West Africa is therefore proud to support the advocacy efforts by the Nigerian Governor's Wives Against Gender-Based Violence in Nigeria to continue to use their position and their influence and their platform to drive action. Because we need everybody. We need institutions, we need government institutions, we need development partners, we need spouses of those in office and out of office, we need political leaders, we need the private sector, the international community, private foundation, multilaterals, bilaterals. We need everyone in this fight against gender-based violence. Our commitment to the Nigerian Governor's Wives Against Gender-Based Violence will continue. So, don't worry about that. We'll continue to support awareness programs that target even young people as we disciple a new crop of Nigerians who respect the rights and bodily integrity of women and girls. We'll continue to support action plans by the group for high-level advocacy and conversations like this, for policies and laws that address gender-based violence, and to collectively come up with state action plans to prevent and respond to violence against women and girls. I want to say that this decade is another opportunity for us to show our commitment to ending violence against women and girls. And Ford Foundation is proud to continue to work with the Nigerian Governor's Wives Against Gender-Based Violence. Thank you very much for listening.
Many thanks indeed, Funke. I was just trying to draw Funke out because I know there's something she's cooking which can make a lot of difference in terms of the resources that civil society has for fighting gender-based violence. And we salute your courage and your commitment and the Ford Foundation and other fellow foundations. While my sister Funke was speaking, we were informed that His Excellency Senator Dr. Chris Ngige, Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment, is very ably represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Minister of Labour and Employment, my brother, Dr. Yarima Tafa. We thank you very much for joining us. And now, if you take a look at your agenda, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, your excellencies, time is always of the essence, and time is one resource we don't use too well, and that's something we need to change. We would need to spiral on to the next conversation, which is a very important conversation with their excellencies here present. But before then, there's a young lady who is prepared very hard and who wants to share with us a few spoken words for 2 to 3 minutes. It will help us do things a bit differently, help us bring in a young voice. And so I urge you to listen as we invite Alhan Islam, the poet. Is Alhan ready?
Yeah.
I knew you were.
Hi. I need Hi, good morning, Your Excellencies. Permit me to stand on already existing protocols. My name is Mariam Bukar, known as Alhan Islam, and with me is Amari, who would be accompanying my poem with a song.
You hang by a thread through a needle line. I wonder why you cried by your bed. You believe a lie that this time it might end.
The screech, that piercing cry, tears that never dry. Her wails become an alarm clock from a drubbing entrenched by a clog. Raised by those same hands, hoping for an answered prayer. But those prayers linger between the heavens and the earth, and he still asks why. The blotch wasn't enough. He used what was deeper than a clog, words to pierce chambers and valves, veins and arteries, endocardium and myocardium, that thin lining of simple squamous epithelium that makes up the very fragile red flesh, the heart.
You hang by a thread to a needle line. I wonder why you cried by your bed, and you believe a lie that this time it might end.
She bleeds within a kind of blood that the color is far from red. Dysfunctional brain from a shaken skull, cause her head has taken the place of a talking drum, and the whimper is music to his ears. This woman is buried in the heart of silence with a broken smile. Visible from a mile, she's traveling memory lane, questioning why she walked down the aisle. Every move she makes is a yelp for help, cause who she is but in a picture, gone in a catastrophic mixture of physical, emotional, and psychological torture. She is but a shadow.
You hang by a thread to that needle line. I wonder why you cried by your bed, and you believe a lie that this time it might end.
Dear troubled soul, you've shown resilience in this heart of silence, garnished with violence. But your voice has been heard, for in the heart of silence the voiceless is heard. When the rumbles of day folds into a peaceful night, when the bat takes the place of the chirping birds, when the sun takes back its splendor, presenting the moon in its grandeur, when the stars delight the sky, sharpening thoughts, the heart takes the place of the eyes. Likewise, O troubled one, let sadness fold into happiness, mend broken smiles to glorious curves. Be a thread and needle on your heart if you must. Let clogs know no place on your skin, it belongs on the feet. Sharpen your mind to be keen, don't let it face defeat. You won't walk in the shade cast by his shadow. You will create your meadow, peace and solace you deserve. But until the warrior in you is awakened, you find strength and are no longer weakened, realizing self-pity was and is not an option. You will indeed be buried in silence, dead in the hands of violence.
While I be like bicycle, you know they had to start. Now so I become Mrs. Colade for better and for worse. So one day He says I act wrong. I think he might be drunk. One slap it's the first time, so I forgave him. Mr. Killman, don't do me like a cinnamon. Cause when a girl is dead wrong, there's no point of it all. Mr. Killman, sure you think say you've seen it all. But now that I got a voice, man, I'm gonna tell it all. I wonder if you're in my shoes, or maybe you got a man where they beat you too. Somehow I wish it would. Is your voice as I sing to you, Mr. Killman? Don't treat me like a cinnamon. Cause when a girl is dead now, there's no point of it all.
Thank you.
What amazing, soul-stirring words. If you think our young are too young to make things happen, just remember that dynamite comes in small packages. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, next, I have the honor to invite a super bureaucrat, one who works very closely in the policy space to the Excellencies here gathered today. And he's going to perform two tasks. He's going to speak on behalf of the forum, and he's also going to invite up onto the podium the Excellencies for the next panel. Please join me in welcoming the Director General of the Nigeria Governors Forum, my brother, Mr. Asishana Okaro, Esquire. Please welcome him. Hi, my brother. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to crave the indulgence of the First Lady of the country, our matron, to rest on existing protocols. The Nigerian Governors Forum is super excited to be part of this high-level policy dialogue. The thrust of today's conference, GBV, is a priority at the Nigerian Governors Forum Secretariat. On June 10th, as we've heard, our principals had their 10th teleconference meeting and agreed on 14 resolutions. 4 of those resolutions were around the matters we are discussing today. Resolution number 9, resolution number 10, resolution number 11, resolution number 12. We need to state here that the governors did not just decide to declare a state of emergency. They were very clear on what the objectives and were very specific about their expectations. A clear roadmap was defined. And I want to state that here because that's exactly what the Secretariat is committed to. They first of all declared a state of emergency. And in addition to that, it's important we take away the fact that there was a decision by all the governors to commit to ensuring that offenders face the maximum weight of the law. Enforcement is pretty important, so it's important to take that away. The second important commitment the governors made that day under Resolution 10 is to ensure speedy investigation and prosecution of perpetrators, in addition to creating a sex offenders register in each state to name and shame. They equally decided to invite all commissioners of police to provide a detailed report on the actions taken to strengthen their response to sexual and gender-based violence through a number of channels. Those records are there. I don't need to belabor that. And finally, on that day, they endorsed a communique by the First Ladies. We have since communicated this resolution to the Inspector General of Police and other regulatory bodies. Only yesterday, I shared with the First Lady of Ekiti State and the chair of the Forum of Wives of Governors under the platform of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Her Excellency Eretu Bisi Fayemi, some troubling GBV stories out of Queen's College, Lagos, that I was privy to. Her response shocked me. It was frightening. And she said, DG, what you are describing is bad, but I must tell you what obtains at the subnational level and at the community level is worse. And that is why I think that at this point, it is important we move this conversation beyond Abuja to our communities and the states. A lot of us do not see the link between addressing the actions of GBV and its impact on our state, on the state of the economy, financial and mental health, as well as on personal safety and security. Inaction has significant implications for limited economic growth and development. This is a call to action for men, women, and us all to get involved. The good news is that the Nigerian Governors Forum is ready. We are determined to sustain this conversation, extend it beyond Abuja to our rural communities, and to support the achievement of desired outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to rest our goodwill on that and move to the next topic immediately. Our governors are here. Those commitments are clear. And I think it's ripe, with the permission of the organizers, to invite our principals, beginning with the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. What is the sitting arrangement? Okay, thank you. Yeah. The chairman will be supported, because there's a point that must be made here. Every single governor has done a lot of things between June 10th and today. And I think this will be an opportunity for them to tell us a lot about the kind of things they've done. And I want to quickly call the next governor, the governor of Niger State, Governor Abubakar Bello. The governor of Plateau State, the governor of Kogi State, and finally, the only SCN we have right now in the forum is the governor of Ondo State. Yeah, at this stage, I would hand this over to my chairman, the Governor Fayemi. Okay.
Excellent. Many thanks indeed, the DG. Thank you for your diligence. Your Excellencies, welcome to this all-important panel on the very troublesome issue of gender-based violence. We have been told that Nigeria is the ninth most unsafe place to be a woman. Reuters Foundation has told us this. And so there's a need for us to do something about it. And something is being done. I would like to begin by asking you a general round of questions, Your Excellencies, because today we have 25 superstars in the room. 25 first ladies doing amazing things. And some of them are your spouses. So, beginning with His Excellency, the chair of the Nigeria Governors Forum, please tell us, what you think about the effort of your spouse in this direction and how you would continue to lend support.
Thank you, Madam Compe Amina. Excellencies, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am very delighted to be here and to be part of this movement against gender-based violence in our country. I speak unequivocally on behalf of all my brother governors who have, as our Director General explained, committed themselves to be on this journey and to lead from the front on issues of gender-based violence in our various states at the subnational level. And we're not doing this really as a favor to our women. We are doing it because it makes sense to us. It makes economic sense. It makes humanitarian sense. It makes common sense. Because we're talking about the bulk of our population, at least 50% of our population. And if we're serious about development, we have to be serious about protection for a significant population in our various communities. And when it comes to what we're doing in Ekiti State, and how I'm supporting my spouse, who is also the chair of this very important coalition against gender-based violence, we are adhering strictly to the points that have been highlighted by our DG on gender-based violence, and we're doing it through 5 interventions in Ekiti State. For us, the first issue that drive this is political will on the part of the principals. If governors demonstrate political will and zero tolerance for gender-based violence, it stands to reason that the bulk of the actors in the state, particularly the powerful actors, would inevitably take the cue from the principal, who is the number 1 citizen in the state. So political will is critical to us, and we are demonstrating that through a variety of ways in Ekiti State. The second for us is enactment and enforcement of laws, which has been spoken about. In my first missionary journey as governor in Ekiti State, we enacted a variety of laws to address issues of women's human rights and empowerment, but particularly gender-based violence. We had a 2011 law against gender-based violence, which has now been revamped and repackaged into our 2019 law, which is now incorporating the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015, which is more of a national law, but has been incorporated into our new state law. But we have not just stopped there. Ekiti has a slew of laws that started way back at the beginning of this Fourth Republic. We have a widow's protection law of 2002. We have a law against female genital mutilation 2002 Act. We have the Child's Rights Act 2006. We have the Gender and Equal Opportunities Act 2013, and then our 2019 Gender-Based Violence Prohibition Act, which incorporates the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. But it's not enough to have laws. There's a slew of laws out there.
Absolutely.
It's what you do with the law and how seriously you take enforcement. And in Ekiti, we take enforcement very seriously. We have convicted hundreds of people for this heinous act. But we've not just stopped at conviction at the law court. We opened the sex offenders register, the very first one in the country, in 2013. We have now extended that sex offenders register by incorporating what we call a naming and shaming policy. So what we do with that is that we know we're traditional people, and culture is important to us.
Yeah.
So in our societies, if you jail somebody in Ado-Ekiti, people in his community may not even be aware of what he has done. But when you take that information home to the people with large posters published and pasted in critical parts of the community, that this is the offense this person has committed.
Right.
It's child defilement. A 2-year-old child has been defiled by this elderly, no good person, and you make that information available, as we do in Ekiti, in all parts of the community. You know how we are.
Right.
Generations after generations will continue to refer to that family. You want to go and marry in that place? You better don't. They have somebody in that family who did this in 2020 something. And that information remains within the community. And it has acted as a very strong deterrent, at least in our state. And we believe that this is something that can apply in other places.
Absolutely.
But we've done, on the 3 other interventions that we have, sometimes we focus so much on the perpetrator that we forget the victim. So we have protection mechanisms for the victims as well. We have a sexual assault referral center in Ekiti. We've had a temporary one for some time, but I just commissioned a brand new one a couple of days ago on November 25th as part of our own campaign, 16-day of activism against gender-based violence. But we've gone beyond that. We also just commissioned a 208-bed shelter, a transit home, and a skills acquisition center for women who have suffered sexual violence and domestic violence and are looking for a safe haven, pending the time that they can put themselves together again. But much more importantly, there is a direct correlation between poverty and sexual violence. And if we do not empower women, it's not enough to keep talking about these things. If we do not empower women to be able to stand on their own and protect themselves and have the resources available to take care of themselves, it becomes a much more debilitating and enduring challenge that will take us a longer time to fix. So for us, we've drawn the correlation. We have a survivors fund in our state that we make available to those who are coming out of sexual violence, gender-based violence experiences. We also have schemes in the state to support them to acquire skills and become more independent on their own, and resources that would improve their knowledge and understanding and ensure that they stay in schools. Because another major problem here is our female dropout rate is very high, and we're determined to do something about that by ensuring that even if you become pregnant in the course of going to school, the opportunity to gain an education is not totally shut out from you. So we can return you to school after you've delivered of the baby, and you can still be protected in your experience. So really, we have a slew of these 5 interventions in Ekiti State. Well, it's still not enough. We have to make sure that we do it across the board. And my brother governors are also coming into the picture. We're all seriously determined to make this an experience of the past in our country.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. And you can tell from the response of the audience that you have wowed us this morning. For 2 things. You understand the landscape, the political economy of it. It's not just about the politics, it's also the economics of it. And the fact that even after you've outlined the 5 key things that Ekiti State is doing, you're saying it is not enough. You've really spoken to the theme of today's conversation, political will and gender-based violence responses. And we thank you so much. It's also excellent that you went first, Chair Sir, because you had enough time to lay the groundwork. So now I'm exactly leader forever. So I'm now going to negotiate with your brothers to say that each one of the excellencies, we have 3 minutes to speak to the question that is posed to them. Because we don't see you every day, and it's very important that we open the floor for questions and comments. Do I have your permission, your excellencies? Thank you so very much. Thank you. I'd like to go next, therefore, to His Excellency, the Governor of Kogi State, because the whole world knows, if you're not the youngest, you're one of the youngest governors that we have in this country. And our eyes are watching you, Your Excellency. Paint us a picture of Kogi State. What are women's human rights looking like? What are the commitments that you make on this day? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Madam. Your Excellency, the Chairman of the NGF, Your Excellencies, Governors, Your Excellencies, our wives, Your Excellencies, member of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. In tackling the issue of gender-based violence requires more than talk show. In Kogi State, we are practicalizing it. And being conscious of the fact that I am the youngest governor today, representing the next generation in government, I must practice what I say. First, I'm sure when I came in here just now, you saw one lady behind me. That is practical. The first female ADC to a serving government in Nigeria. We are practicalizing exactly whatever we discuss in the NGF. I take it home and practice it.
His Excellency has the floor. You would have your chance to ask questions and make comments. Please carry on, Your Excellency.
Now, we have to give them that sense of belonging. We have laws, we have legislation, we have policies and programs for women. But we must give them that self-dignity. That is number one, my ADC. Number two, so today, women have that confidence that, we can actually do this. And she's doing it excellently well. Now, my SSG and my head of service from first term to second term are women. They are collaborating with my wives in ensuring that women are given their right place in the society. We didn't just stop at that. Governance starts from the grassroots. Whatever policy and programs we have today, it must be executed to the grassroots. And we're operating 3 tiers of government. That is at the federal level, the state level, and at local government level. We are going to conduct local government and councillorship election on 12th December this year. And as a matter of policy and practicalizing what we preach, APC as a party in Kogi State made it a policy. I am the leader of the party in the state. I ensure that the party ensure that the 35% affirmation is practicalized for Nigerians to see. And how are we going to practicalize it? We ensure that in every local government with 10 wards or 14 or 15 wards, there is at least minimum of 3 to 4 women as councillors.
Amazing.
We ensure that every chairman candidate will have a woman as vice chairman. We are ensuring, by the grace of God, that after the election, all the council leaders will be women. Now, having given them this sense of belonging and ownership, I think they will be able to drive the process of ensuring
Indeed, Your
that
Excellency.
women are not abused at that level. But let me ask one question, moderator. While we are defending and protecting women, who protects men against violence?
Women are the protectors of all, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much.
And right now, it is not a level playing field. That is where we move from equality to equity, and now we're seeking justice, like the chair of the NGF has said. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Yeah.
And please remember, we have a hashtag, NGWAGBV. Please tweet those important commitments that you're hearing now, because our eyes are watching you all. Please tweet and let's hold this commitment to the power of grace by which it has been given today. Your Excellency, the Governor of Ondo State, SAN, sir, you have listened. You have heard all of the strategies. We need to prevent, we need to promote, we need to ensure that we have laws that have teeth. You are a legal luminary, a senior advocate of Nigeria. But we know that law is necessary but insufficient. Learned Silk, sir, in addition to the legal frameworks that you have in Ondo State, what else are you thinking to do to ensure that gender-based violence is a thing of the past?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Now, you have said it all. Having a law in place will not solve everything. And what you need really is how, at the end of the day, you have put in place machinery to ensure enforcement of the law and to make sure that at the end of the day, where you have people who have been found guilty of any of the offenses under the law, that they are prosecuted and brought to book, and that they face the wrath or the full weight of the law itself. That is what is important. And in getting this done, we have had problems, just as we had in a number of, virtually all the states. You see, we have, for instance, issue of congestions, a lot of congestion in courts. And this has led to having to create family courts, different courts, to attend to matters of this nature, particularly gender-based violence. So that when you have prosecution of offenders who come under this, who have committed offenses under the laws that are in place, you don't have to take them through the process, the existing process which you have now in place, which normally and at the end of the day takes time. Because those of us who are lawyers have always believed that, yes, the machinery of justice grinds slowly but surely. But at the same time, we do also have a lot of things we say that justice delayed is justice denied. It all comes, you now come to see the contradiction. And okay, when you say machinery of justice grinds slowly but surely, and it's again delayed and says denied, there is that contradiction. But at the end of the day, when you look at the issue of gender-based violence, it's one you need to take immediate action. More so that when you have people who, for instance, are involved in rape, you don't want to keep them in the society and say their trial is going on. We don't have facilities, at least in this country for now, by which you can say they are labeled or they wear any band that you can monitor their movement. We can't. So, but just like every other offense, it's a bailable offense. If you grant them bail, they go back. Some have gone out to commit the same offense. So the earlier you have the trial concluded, the better for the society, so that it goes straight into whatever sentence.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that's the best. That's the best way. So what we try to do in Ondo State is that to ensure that trials are faster, and family court and other courts attend to trials of these individuals who commit this gender-based violence. So what we have to put in place is that, look, the laws are there. We have had so many laws, just like my chairman said.
Yes.
But what we really need now is how to make sure that we prosecute offenders expeditiously and ensure that they are dealt with. And at the end of the day,
yes,
we have had debates in our ESCO. At the point we wanted to have a place, okay, you have to castrate. Maybe we want to use castrate men who are caught in some of these offenses.
Exactly.
And this is being pushed over and over. Some are saying, okay, why don't you cut off their manhood? And I don't know what women want to recommend, whether you want it cut off. It's left to you.
We will tell you what we want to recommend,
Okay.
Your Excellency, sir. And I know that His Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, is very well represented in the room today by the Senior Special Assistant on Intergovernmental Affairs. And I know Kaduna, as you know, Your Excellencies, Kaduna does have a law that actually says that there will be castration of anyone who is caught raping another person, whether it's defilement or rape. But a woman who is also caught defiling or raping would have her fallopian tubes severed. Yes, and maybe Kaduna will do that at a point. But thank you so much, Your Excellency, sir. We thank you. And I especially thank you for referencing the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, because rape is a criminal offense, and that law, passed in 2015, actually demands that cases of criminal offenses be expedited. Thank you so much. I come to Your Excellency, Governor Bello of Niger. And I want to talk about northern Nigeria. Only 1 in 4 girls will finish a course of secondary schooling. Rape is on the increase, all parts of Nigeria, but especially in the context of children who, like His Excellency Governor Fayemi said, are breadwinners because of the economic dimension. They are more vulnerable because they are hawking when they should be in school, learning to become like the 25 superstars, first ladies we have today. Almajiranchi is also a very big issue in northern Nigeria. Boys are sodomized, girls are raped. This is a serious phenomenon in northern Nigeria where 10 million children are out of school and they're very vulnerable. Your Excellency, sir, I know you have 3 minutes, but if you were to give us an elevator speech of what the North intends to do about creating safe spaces for girls and boys and women, what would it be, sir? You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, my chair, Governor Fayemi, and Your Excellency, the chair of Nigerian Governors Forum's Wife Association, my colleagues. The speakers before me spoke very well, some of which will address what you said. I 100% agree with what Governor Fayemi said. We are in the process of doing virtually everything he mentioned with regards to laws and what have you. My friend from Kogi, I think we're also on the same page, but one. I don't have a female ADC, but I have a woman head of service. Excellent. That would placing women in, and a woman chief judge. That's right. So placing women in sensitive positions will ensure that they take this matter seriously and fight for the rights or causes of women. And my friend from Ondo also mentioned the legal framework, which is very important, but somehow I found out enforcement is always an issue. Most of the courts are overwhelmed. We find it very difficult in these days to get someone convicted of crimes, heinous crimes like what you just mentioned. But with regards to Almajiranchi and what you said earlier in the northern parts of the country, I think one thing I haven't had is the issue of sensitization. The center were able to do it, but one thing I realized, working with the traditional rulers, like in my state, we have the Imams Forum, working with the Imams Forum, because the problem is most of the cases we get are from urban centers We don't get much cases from rural areas. Not that they don't exist, but out of fear of stigmatization. So because of our religious and cultural inclinations, some of these cases go unreported in the rural areas. But I think the first thing to be done is to make sure that we educate our people. Now, with regards to Almajiranchi, recently, what we have done is to work with some scholars, Islamic scholars, and we have started the first school of combining both Islamic and Western education to see how it works. So we are adjusting the curriculum so that once you go to your primary school, you're able to do your Islamic studies at the same time. So we're at the moment banning all these Almajirai and all these local schools. But again, because it's a culture that has been developed for hundreds of years, you have to take it one pace at a time. But we have a committee to look at JBVs and most of these. We have child rights acts and what have you, being chaired by the First Lady of Nigeria, who happens to be my wife. She's over there, and I think she's doing a nice job. I must confess.
Nice, Your Excellency.
Yes.
Saving lives.
Yes, because we have made a lot of arrests in these cases. We've had probably 78 or 9 convictions. But for me, you can have the laws, you can have the referral centers, but once you start getting yourself in a situation where you use the law or the referral center, it means it has already happened, and you don't want it to happen. So you have to prevent it. You have to do whatever you can to prevent it. You don't want a solution after it has happened.
Absolutely,
So I strongly believe sensitization is key. I strongly believe educating our people is important.
Thank you.
I strongly believe making sure that girls go to school is really important, because we've had cases where parents give out their daughters in marriage at the ages of 12, 13. I think we've made about 15 arrests on that too.
Thank you.
So for me, I think sensitization, education are key in this fight. Thank you.
And thank you so much for bringing data into the room, because the collect aspect of the theme of this year's 16 days of activism is about getting sexual data that is disaggregated, who is offending, who is vulnerable, and who is protected. Thank you so much. And now, I have saved His Excellency Governor Lalong for last, for a very good reason. He's a North Central state governor. His state has passed virtually all of the gender-responsive laws that there are. The Violence Against Persons Act, the Child Rights Act, Administration of Criminal Justice Act, the Disability Act, even before the National. And it's strategic that you're seated right next to Ekiti. That is also a frontline state in that regard. Your Excellency, sir, can you tell us in a few words what made you do this? What did you see that made you think that as a governor, Plateau State needed to be a frontline state? And what are some of those challenges that you need us to be mindful of, even as we have so many expectations of you and your colleagues?
Thank you very much. First, my chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, Your Excellencies, my colleagues governors who are here, the wives of the governors and the representative of the wife of Mr. President, diplomats that are here, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. You asked why. Why did I have that passion? And I said, my role model I always say, is my mother, not my father, my mother. And I said, even to the point of death, I saw her level of passion for especially the less privileged. Even at old age, she was keeping them. When even at the point I had no resources to take care of them, she will say she wants to keep them until death. And when she died, she left a lot of them for us to take care. So because of that, we've seen a lot of things happening to us also in the house when we are taking care of the less privileged. Now, back to the question, I must say that as the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, I am in a very difficult position. Difficult position in the sense that at the Northern Governors Forum, I must admit that in terms of treating issues of gender violence and addressing them, we have not done enough, I must confess. And that is a difficult place, to be chairman of Northern Governors Forum and talk about addressing issues that we are mentioning today. But I'm very happy that I'm being assisted by very vibrant and women governors' wives in the Northern Governors' wives, ably led by the governor of Niger. The chairperson is the wife of the governor of Niger State. They have been on us, and recently we are already addressing some of these issues. In their recent meeting with me, I told them, I gave them the guarantee that with me as the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, we will push them to that level. So we're already laying down the framework, and I'm sure it was too early to start assessing us now. Just wait until when we get to the middle of next year. But they are already doing very well, and I gave them that assurance. Now back to Plateau again. Well, in Plateau State, I even got an award as a speaker. I started as a speaker because things that were impossible in the north, I made sure we would do them in Plateau as an example for others to copy. For instance, the child rights law. I was the second person to pass and domesticate the child rights law in the north. So I was the first. And when I did that, unfortunately, I was left as a speaker, and there was no proper implementation. But when I came back as a governor, I now went back to again implementing it. Again, I was the first, like you mentioned, to pass the disability, the law on disability. I passed that law before I left as a speaker. But the implementation was very poor. When I came back again, I reorganized the place, and today even federal government has copied from us in Plateau State by doing the Disability Rights Commission. So in Plateau State again, you know, it is only in Plateau State that they will always select a vibrant woman to lead the Women Affairs Commission. Today, the Minister for Women Affairs, and doing very well, very vibrant, is also from my state. In my state, I have produced one of the head of the courts in Nigeria. The President Court of Appeal is a woman. She is from Plateau State. Now, there's also an aspect that I've just introduced, the girl child education. I'm always very fascinated when I see women excelling. And I made it a point of duty from last year. I said, any woman that excels academically in Plateau State, she will get an award. Not only an award. If it's within the secondary school, I give her a scholarship to go abroad.
Excellent job.
This year, I just celebrated, a few weeks ago, I celebrated a girl from my state that emerged the overall best in WAEC in Nigeria. So I will take her and hand over to the chairperson of the governor's wives, so that you can know that women can do better than men. Now,
that's a special applause for you, Your Excellency.
Yes, that's the overall best in WAEC in Nigeria. I've given her scholarship from Plateau State, and I've also given her scholarship for Northern Governors Forum. So that girl is going to be our model. And when you are training women, you must also train women for leadership. Train them for leadership. It's not always that they say they are being oppressed by men. So what I did, I gave them assurance 2 years ago. I said, any first class from my state, first class candidate, will not only get scholarship, but must work in the governor's office.
Excellent.
So I already now have two of them. I will say fortunately, two of them made first class last year. First class from the law school. And I said, they must work with the governors under the governor's office for tutelage. So 2 of them are now working in the governor's office. And they asked me, why are you saying we must work in the governor's office? I said, I want you to be leaders tomorrow. Beautiful. And the only way to learn to be leaders tomorrow is when you work directly in the governor's office.
Excellent.
That will spoil you. By the time you go, you become professors, you become everything. You would have also learned the techniques of electionary campaign. And I wish that one day one of you will become the president of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
This is what I have done. So I've created that enabling environment.
You have,
and
indeed.
To be very honest with you, they are very, very good. I've been watching them. And after 1 year, I will ask them, okay, which university do you want to go to further your education? That time they would have acquired that experience. So when you are arguing for women, she will tell you, I was in the governor's office. I knew everything that was happening in the state.
Very true.
So these are part of the things that we intend to do and will continue to do. We have not done enough, like I said, but with the encouragement and especially what I see you women doing,
yes.
You are already encouraging us. Even if we are weak at a particular time, please continue to encourage us. We will do better.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you indeed. And I really thank the panel for the very critical, thinking that you've brought into the room and the very practical ideas of how we can tackle this menace in our midst. But I did promise that the audience would ask questions, and we can barely squeeze 10 minutes just to take questions and comments and to return to Your Excellencies. And please do know, as you're asking your questions, that there's going to be a second panel after the Excellencies panel, which will be a panel with survivors. And it's very important that we listen to that panel because it also has some of our superstar First Ladies on that panel. But for now, we'll open the floor for any question or comment or any clarification that you'd like to seek. We have a couple of mics, and I'll just look out for hands in the room. Yes, my sister. Please tell us your name and ask your question. And please make it very succinct.
Edo State. I'm glad to be here on the entourage of Her Excellency. It's good to have the governors here because gender-based violence, we've talked about women participation in politics. The Kogi State Governor, the model of including women at the council level, look to be chairmen and councillors, 35%, is a very noble step. And we encourage all governors to please do that for us.
Thank you, Honorable Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. I see another hand. I need the mic to move to this side of the hall so we try as much as possible to achieve equity in terms of voice. Please, your name and to the end of to the back of the hall, and then we'll come back to the front because Honorable Maria spoke from the front of the hall. Yes, please. I see 2 hands at that table. So, sisters, you decide which hand goes first. All right. Thank you. Can you go to another table if the decision is not made?
It's made.
Then please speak.
I want to thank the governors.
Your name, ma'am. Shall we meet you?
I am Right Honorable Princess Peace Ozamaka Naji, on the entourage of Her Excellency Mrs. Monica Ugwanye and the Commissioner for Gender Affairs and Social Development, Enugu State. I want to talk about one of the problems we have in dealing with gender-based violence. The problem is that half of the way in handling these cases, people will come from the village or people that are concerned and tell us that they have settled after we have done everything in the court to make sure that they are prosecuted. You find out that they renege and the people are placed in a quagmire. They don't know what to do. And we need a legislation that even when the birth parents of those people abused have reneged on the agreement, government has to send somebody to stand for the victim. Has to send somebody to stand for the victim.
Thank you.
not halfway into the case.
Thank you,
They'll
Right
say-
Honorable
they'll say-
Uzamaka. A very important point well made. Thank you, ma'am. Can I have the mic come to the front of the room? And yes, to your right, to your left, my sister, that table. Yes. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Hi, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Osasu Igbenedion. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of TOS TV Network, a Pan-African television network. I would like to put all Your Excellencies on the spot today to ask you to make a categorical commitment to furthering women and girls' development in your state. Your Excellency, the Governor of Kogi State, you said all vice chairmen coming up in the local government elections will be women. We applaud you for that. Thank you so much. I want the Governor of Ondo State, Plateau State, Ekiti State, and Niger State to make similar commitment to the advancement of women's political participation and leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think the Excellencies already did. And there's an exercise at the end of this panel which is about committing to the call to action, and we shall hear their voices and also see them personalize that as well. I want to come to the middle and take maybe one last hand. Yes, please. Where's my mic traveling?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Your Excellencies, the Governor of Ekiti, Plateau, Niger, Kogi, and Ondo, my name is Honorable Dr. Hajara Denyaro Ibrahim, Special Advisor to the Governor of Nasarawa State on Special Education, on the entourage of Her Excellency Hajia Salifat Abdullah Isli. I want to commend the efforts of all the governors, especially my maternal governor, Kogi State, for this wonderful achievement on women. Please, Your Excellency, kindly help us to reach down this achievement to Nasarawa State. I've been contesting 3 times for the State House of Assembly. You can see in Nasarawa State, not a single woman in the House of Assembly of Nasarawa State, not a single woman as chairman or deputy chairman. Please, Your Excellency, help us for this to reach down, since the chairman of the Governors Forum,
All right.
Edrosoke, is around. Please help us do that.
All right, thank you, my sister. Thank you. You want to respond to that? Okay. Is there any gentleman in the house who would like to speak? Is there any gentleman who would like to speak? Because I see there's some brothers. The he for she's. Do I see a he for she hand? None. Okay, let me return to their excellencies. If I have any more time, I'll come back again to the audience. Please forgive me. It's the tyranny of time. It's beyond me because time is always of the essence. So let me return to their excellencies. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, on the reluctance by women with reported cases of abuse, like I said earlier on, especially from the rural areas, is mostly because of stigmatization. When they go to court, it becomes public. So what happens in between? They are being convinced to withdraw the cases or not to participate. So you have to go on a strict, serious sensitization to give them the confidence and the comfort to see the case through. On the appointments of women into elected offices, well, that is constitutional. I don't know how we can. I wish we can make that firm commitment. But on political appointments, yes, that is within the purview of the governor. You can increase your political appointments when it comes to commissioners, when it comes to your head of service. But when it comes to, I have to go to Kogi and learn. But when it comes to being chairperson or chairman of local government councillors, everyone is free to contest. We have to amend the constitution to say you must allow for or provide for a certain number of seats for women. I have only one woman in state assembly, and even that I had to battle. I had to fight. So yes, I agree that we should have more women at that level, but with the constitutional provisions, I don't know how we can tell, okay, leave this. It has to be an in-house arrangement. I don't know. But I'll go to Kogi and...
well said, Your Excellency.
I'll learn.
Yes, and thank you for your humility. You are all brothers. You can speak to each other. But there are strategies for affirmative action, Your Excellency. There are. Even in terms of the Constitution can be reviewed. And I ask a question of all Your Excellencies here. Why must we have a first-past-the-post electoral system in Nigeria? Why can we not have proportional representation such that every party can get number of seats in parliament, which is a function of the number of votes they have? And if each political party lists more women than men, then the women will get in there. So you have to work with the political parties. You have to review the Constitution. There are strategies, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. Yes, Your Excellency, SAN, sir.
Well, let me just come in and say one thing. I needed to react to the comments about victims who make efforts to withdraw their case after what they call intervention, family. The issue is this. Offenses are committed against a law, and the state itself is the one prosecuting. So, if a state and your Ministry of Justice and those who are prosecuting put their feet down, no matter what you do, it's an offense against the state. So, the problem we have is getting witnesses who will come up to court, because the victims probably are the witnesses you need, and they refuse to come up. So the judge or the judges are handicapped in that sense. So we must find a way in which, because it's a dicey situation, when you compel a witness to appear in court, and he appears and he gives evidence against you, the judge itself will have to free the offender. So we have a problem here. In one, we know it's an offense against the state. We know you can be compelled to come to court, but what you say in court, nobody can force you to do it.
Very true.
You become a witness that will be against even your case. So we have a problem, and I think it's something we can solve. We can look at the law again and see what we'll do.
Yes.
In such circumstance, what I had always thought was that, look, in the first instance, you have taken the statement of the victim and probably witnesses, if you have any. Then we can just end it and say, look, all you need to do is that you use those evidence against the accused person.
Absolutely.
No need to now bring the witness again to court if he doesn't want to come. So if we go that route, we might get a point in which whether or not you come to court, the man can still be convicted based on your witness statement, Absolutely. Which you have issued. So those are the things. But the last one which I want to talk about one of the questions or the issues that have been taken is about women participation. I have always been worried. We have more women in this country than men. What are you women doing? Vote for yourself, don't vote for men. You will be there.
It's about 50-50, Your Excellency.
Vote for yourself.
Women are 49.7%, so it's about 50-50. But you see, Your Excellency, on the surface, you can see the number. But the subtext of that number is that it is pseudo power. It is not power. Because you men hold the power. Patriarchy dictates who gets what. And in some families in this country, we have heard stories where women who were supported to feed school children are having problems with the men because the men suddenly think their wives have more money than they have. So, Your Excellency, sir, there's a lot that we need to fix in terms of patriarchy. Your Excellency, Governor of Kogi State, you're going to go last because there's another question coming for you from the audience. I'm going to take Governor Lalong next.
Thank you very much. Let me come in and help my friend, Governor of Niger. Now, at the All Progressive Congress, it is mandatory, it's not a question of choice, that in every appointment there must be a woman, there must be a disabled. So these are policies of the party. I know that as a matter of fact, for All Progressive Congress, especially appointments at the local governments to state level, even at the federal level. So a certain percentage is reserved for women and and the physically challenged. Now, also going back to the issue, somebody said when it comes to election, I think that part of your sensitization must also go far beyond what we're doing, because from experience I've seen it, because my sister there said she contested election and lost. In most cases, when women contest election, you don't see majority of women supporting them. That is a fact. That is a fact. You don't see the women supporting them. I don't know why it is like that. But however, I want to help my sister, Dr. Hajara. Where are you? She left. Dr. Hajara, she just left. Well, Dr. Hajara, we attended the same school with her. She has been contesting the election. I only want to say that as chairman of Governors Forum, we will take that up. The governor of Nasarawa is my good friend. And I wanted to tell her one secret. In Plateau State, nobody has ever produced a senator in Plateau. And it has become like a tradition that no woman will become senator. But I want to assure you, we're into an election. By Saturday, they are going to elect the first woman senator from Plateau State. So nothing is possible if there is that will. But I want to also make the women to have that will. It is not all saying that, yes, we want to go by 30%. We must also be ready to support that 30%.
Thank you, Your
Because
Excellency.
you put a woman and you see the women running away from the woman at the vote.
Thank
you
you,
must
Your
come out
Excellency.
and challenge and vote for that woman. Thank you very much.
We're working on that, Your Excellency. It is going to take time. It's going to take your support. Because when you have been told for centuries that you should not be seen and you should not be heard, when you have been told that you're only good for child rearing, it becomes very difficult for you to begin to reimagine yourself as someone who can aspire for office. And so how do we move from that perception that women are only good enough as agents of biology to begin to see women in their totality as social actors? I think that is the task for women, yes, but also men who are leaders. Thank you, Your Excellency. Can I ask Tamuno to get the mic and to ask her question of His Excellency the Governor of Kogi State quickly so that he can take his closing remarks and the chair then closes us out. My sister Tamuno.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'd like to thank the governors for their comments and their approach. We've learned a lot. But I'd like to ask a question. I want to know, to the Kogi State Governor, what are the procedures involved in reporting cases of SGB perpetrated by people in your cabinet? And also be glad if other governors can help us outline the procedures involved so we can all be better informed in reporting these cases. What are the procedures involved with addressing cases of SGB perpetrated by people in your cabinet or state actors or other governments? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as the mic comes back...
It's not clear. I'm not the only person here. Please, just slow down. We are Africans. We're not Europeans.
Apologies for that. Apologies. So again, I would like to ask, what are the procedures involved in reporting perpetrators of sexual and gender-based violence in your cabinet? And also,
I think, Your Excellency, thank you, Tamuno. Thank you very much. It's a very personal question and is a measure of your political will. Is it a different set of rules for people on your cabinet and a different set of rules for other citizens? I think that's the nuts and bolts of that question.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies and my dear sister, let me react straight to a particular question that is rephrased here. This has to do with my Honorable Commissioner of Water Resources, Honorable Abdulmumin Danga, who was alleged to have committed violence, especially rape against a lady or a woman. Thank God I have two lawyers, governors here, and there are so many lawyers here. When you alleged, you prove. The matter is in court. It has been in court. And any further and serious comment, especially from me as the governor, will amount to I don't know what you call it, subjudice or prejudice? Subjudice. That is number one. Number two, you see, in every state, this will apply to each and every one of us. There are peculiarities. What is obtainable in Kogi State might not be obtainable in any other state. It might be easy for me to ensure that women are elected into elective offices in Kogi State. It might not be that very easy for other state governors to implement same in their various states. So obtaining commitment to that effect will amount to obtaining no commitment at all. In this particular case that we are mentioning, there is a peculiarity as well, which I shouldn't even go because it is beyond what is being put out there in the media. But I want to assure you that nobody under my leadership or under my watch will commit offense against women and I'll allow that person to go scot-free. It's as good as any of us here now moving out and saying, for instance, Osasu committed so offense. I am not there, you are not there. And then we'll immediately, apprehend Osasu and begin to punish before the completion or conclusion of investigation and proper prosecution by the competent court of law. So that matter is in court, and as soon as the court decides whichever way, I am going to swing into action. Everybody knows me, please just one moment, knows Kogi State Governor to be an action governor. I take no nonsense at all from anybody. And I ensure that women believe in themselves. We advocate, just like the governor of Niger said, we advocate, we sensitize, we educate. And it is at the point of implementation where the goodwill, political will comes in, that I will hold down men that will oppress women for women to be able to excel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, the Chair of Nigeria Governors Forum, you're going to close out this panel, and I have a couple of questions from colleagues who are online. Buki Williams of Education as a Vaccine wants to know if governors today will commit to funding sexual and gender-based violence services. She wants to hear those words of commitment coming from you, Your Excellency, on behalf of your colleagues. Her Excellency, Dr. Zainab Shinkapiba Agudu, has also said that, why is this still a battle, Your Excellency Niger, to get women into elective positions? It starts from the mindset of our people. But as leaders, if we direct our battle early enough and be firm, the people holding the party machinery will comply. So that's a strategy, from Her Excellency's colleague, another Her Excellency, to Your Excellency, more or less. But I think because you've had your say, I just wanted you to know and be aware of this. His Excellency, the Chair, will cover all comments and have his closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Amina, for the questions. And I want to thank my colleagues for giving good accounts of governors and explaining what we're doing in our various states to the audience. To the question from Education for Vaccine, certainly governors will commit themselves to providing resources, not just funds, resources that would help address issues of gender-based violence. Clearly, we will commit to that. And our wives are also here. They will back that commitment because they have the opportunities to nudge us beyond our own conviction and concerns. And they do that all the time. So we can give our word and you can take it to the bank.
Excellent.
On the second question, in relation to women's participation and Osasu's request for commitment, I think there is generally a question of power relations. And there are patriarchal privileges. Nobody runs away from privileges. And in politics, one thing we say oftentimes is that power is not served a la carte. The person who has power does not voluntarily give away power. You have to devise means, you have to build coalitions, you have to organize strategies in order to take power from those who have power. And part of that coalition would necessarily involve men. You can't attack men and expect them to get involved when you want positions, either by appointment or by election. So, and women are nurturers. Women know how to multitask. Women know how to engage and build coalitions. So I don't really see this as a necessarily difficult thing for women. But we must also, on our part, as privileged actors, figure out institutional mechanisms that can assist in ensuring that we have more women participating in political life. There's no ifs, there's no buts. We must encourage, we must actively involve, and we must build coalitions with women to do this. For us in Ekiti, it's not really an issue. We have a female senator. You heard about her. She spoke earlier from our state. We have female representatives in the House of Representatives. We have the largest number of women in any House of Assembly in Nigeria. We have 8 vice chairmen in our local governments out of 16 local governments. We have 1 local government chairman. That's not good enough. We want to do more than that. But it's also not a game of numbers. It's not a bean counting exercise. I want us to understand that. It's good to have a higher number. But does higher number of women in political participation translate to higher recognition for women's related issues? Not necessarily, but we would like to think that's the case. We have a duty to sensitize the men who are in public office so that they take on board these issues a lot more seriously than we've done hitherto. So that regardless of who is there, it's good to have someone who feels the pain to be the one also making the policies and deciding on the issues. But let all of us be more conscious, be more aware of our responsibilities as public servants to all citizens, and particularly women, who are the larger number of citizens we have in our society.
What an excellent set of remarks to close out this panel. Thank you so very much, Your Excellencies, for being so very rooted and for listening and for finding the courage to walk the talk. Eshe, Your Excellency. Amariba, Esi Wajino. Allah Ejakwana, Your Excellencies. Allah Shitaya Kuruku. Godia Miki. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you to please remain on the stage because there's another aspect of this conversation which actually speaks to a point that was made earlier about evidencing the commitment, and that is to speak to the call to action. May I have the honor of inviting Her Excellency, the First Lady of Ekiti State, my sister Erelu Bisi Fayemi, to lead her sisters and co-travelers, the excellencies, the First Ladies present here today, to the stage to join their excellencies for the presentation, as it were, of a call to action. Thank you so very much. A warm round of applause for my panel as we segue into another aspect of this conversation.
Okay, please bring the compendium. Quick.
As the excellencies are coming up on the stage, let me specially acknowledge just the excellencies. The First Ladies only, please, on stage to join their excellencies. The First Ladies here present only. Yes, please usher their excellencies onto the stage. Take your time, Your Excellency, one at a time. There's someone doing that up here because it's very narrow. Thank you. Your hand, Your Excellency. Excellent. Let me thank, as we conduct this aspect of the conversation, Her Excellency, and thank her for joining us today, the former Deputy Governor of Lagos State and the Senior Special Assistant to the President on the Sustainable Development Goals. My sister, Her Excellency, Adejoke Orelope Adefulure. Please, we need to ensure the Excellencies have a copy of the compendium, the call to action document. Can we please move further onto the stage so the Excellencies can be well centered on the stage? Please remember, we will be having the second panel after this conversation and after the call to action. Your Excellency, would you need a mic? Shouldn't we have a wireless mic on a day like this? My Excellency, let me ask her.
Your Excellencies, our husbands, thank you very much, sirs, for all the support. Excellencies, dear sisters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian Governor's Wives Against Gender-Based Violence hereby present our action plan to ensure that we fight all forms of gender-based violence in our respective states as individual first ladies and as a collective. And we trust that our husbands, the governors, will support all our efforts and the efforts of the many actors, statutory actors and civil society actors who have been working tirelessly on this issue. Thank you. Development partners to join us, please, after this.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. You've always been he for she, Your Excellency. Thank you so much for your commitment and your leadership as you exit the stage. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, Governor of Ondo State, Governor of Kogi State, Governor Niger, His Excellency the Chair, His Excellency Governor Lalong. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Dr. Kaide Fayemi, for your leadership. Development partners, please. I see my sister Funke. Is my sister Comfort Lamti still in the hall? Please remember, we're going to be taking a 5-minute break and then we must reconvene to take on the next conversation with our First Ladies and survivors. A most important conversation indeed. We thank the wife of the Deputy Governor of Edo State also for joining us. Thank you. A 5-minute break, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. A 5-minute health break to stretch our legs, do a bit of networking. Please stay COVID-19 compliant. If you must go near colleagues, please wear your mask. Please, we have sanitizer. We are very generous with sanitizers. And you can also wash your hands, of course, when you use the bathroom.
We should say protocols because it's not all the ladies that have their protocols here. We need them to come out so I can hand over the voucher for each of the states to them.
We'll do that after the break to be sure they come back. After the break, we're going to be handing out your lunch vouchers. So as the next session will be kicked off, Colleagues from the Secretariat will be handing out your lunch and refreshment vouchers. Please, 5 minutes break. Please try to stretch. If you've been sitting for too long, it's not exactly very healthy for you. You should take at least a minute's break. Thank you.